Let's talk about a type of poetry called free verse poetry. Free verse poetry is actually one of my favorites because there really aren't a lot of rules other than be creative. So if you felt like poetry is tricky because it's hard to remember all the rules, you can't really break any rules in free verse. They don't really have any. So let's take a look at a couple examples of free verse. You can see two different ways it might look, and then I'll walk you through the steps to creating your own free verse poem. This first poem is called Night. Night crept in, slow and smooth. It smothered the city in darkness. Lights and windows of tall buildings blinked. One, two, again, and opened their bright eyes. So if you look at that free verse poem, you'll see that sometimes it's real grammatically correct sentences and sometimes it's not. You might notice that at the beginning here, there are full sentences. But if you look further down here, those aren't full sentences. And at the end, we even started with the word and, which we don't usually do. But the author used them that way so that you could really picture what they're trying to show you. Another thing that this author did that you might want to do in your poems is something called personification. I'm going to write it right here. Personification is when you treat things that aren't people as if they are people. For example, they said night crept in. Night can't really creep, but in this poem it did. It crept in and then it smothered the city. Night's not really a person, it can't smother anything, but in this poem they used those words to make night feel like it was alive. They also talked about the lights in the windows blinking. Now we know lights aren't alive, they can't really blink, but we know lights can flash on and off. And down here it says, and opened their bright eyes. So the author used personification to make night feel like it was a real live thing. Let's take a look at another poem. This one is called Breaking Day by Margaret Bennison. Today I broke everything I touched. Brother's phone, his toys, my own toothbrush. I smashed my sister's favorite cup, lost her bracelet for good luck. I even crushed the chair of timbers where my father reads and lingers. I ruined mother's chicken soup. Too much salt in there, I scooped. Spattered rice on the kitchen floor, drew pink heart shapes on the wall, broke my crayons, tore all papers. When my Nana napped, I woke her. With all the broken scoops and piles, I have shredded everyone's smiles. But then, before bedtime, they hugged me. I'm their baby. They still love me. So if you look at this poem, some parts of it might almost feel like a full sentence, but most of the lines aren't a full sentence. And then every once in a while, something rhymes. We've got a chair of timber where his father reads and lingers. Those almost feel like a rhyme. We've got soup and scooped. We have piles and smiles. Me, baby. So there's some rhymes in there, but it's just when the author felt like it. It's not like every single line had to rhyme. So this author used rhyme and in some ways rhythm to just kind of show, to kind of make your eye keep reading and to get you kind of in the groove of what they're saying. These are both examples of free verse poetry. You don't have to follow special rules, but all the things that make poetry great, you can use them when you want to. Now, the important thing to remember is that free verse poetry is really just a way to share your feelings about a topic. So we're going to start, step one here is just picking a topic. One great way to do that is to brainstorm some ideas. So let's jump into those steps and see what that looks like. Step one, you're going to pick a topic. So I've been asking you, and you'll notice that your teachers are doing the same thing. What's important to you right now? And I just listed out some things that I'm thinking about right now that are important. I've been thinking a lot about what equality really means, and I know a lot of you have talked about that too with the protests and reminding us to reconsider what it really means when we say Black Lives Matter. I've been thinking a lot about you guys, my class. I realize that the school year is coming to an end, and you guys are going to go on to be sixth graders. I've been thinking about nature because as summer's starting, my garden is starting to grow and the grass is getting taller, and when I walk down the road, I see all the cool trees. I've been thinking a lot about my family, and I've also been thinking a lot about what it really means when we say it's coming into summer. What am I excited for? After you pick a topic, you're going to start brainstorming ideas, phrases, and sentences. You can just think of it like a brainstorm page. So I decided I'm going to write about the topic of summer. That's the first one I'm going to try. So when I started to think about summer, I just started to write sentences and ideas. So first I thought about eating watermelon because I love to eat watermelon all summer. And I still, like a little kid, I like to sit in the grass and spit the seeds out. I also think about how I never know what time it is during the summer. I don't know what day it is. I didn't write it on the whiteboard. I don't know. And I've also been thinking a lot about my aunt and uncle live on a lake, and sometimes they invite us over to go swimming. And I've been thinking about how good that's going to feel. So first, just brainstorm some ideas. Then think about what order you would like your ideas in best. So I decided to first talk about the watermelon, eating cold watermelon and spitting the seeds in the grass, then the lake, throwing myself into the lake head first. And then I thought about how I don't know what time it is. Is it Thursday? Sunday? Noon? 3 in the morning? Time is irrelevant. I put them in the order that I liked best. Next, reread your poem. Remember, good writers are always rereading to revise and edit. Make any changes that you want. Is there a way you want to add rhyme? Alliteration, remember that's when you start with the same sound over and over. Rhythm, similes, when you compare things using like or as. Or metaphors. Metaphors are when you describe something as something else to help paint a picture. Like in Esperanza, when she was holding up the kitten and she was using the kitten to describe the workers who weren't willing to strike. I decided to make a correction right here. I thought I could take out grass and write sunshiny soil. Now I have spitting the seeds in the sunshiny soil. I liked the alliteration of that. I also decided to add some onomatopoeia, dash, splash. And then I decided to end with a powerful statement. Summer is always in the now. Those are the changes that I decided to make. The very last step is to share your poem with somebody. So I'm going to share my poem with you now. Eating cold watermelon and spitting the seeds in the sunshiny soil. Throwing myself into the lake head first. Dash, splash. Is it Thursday? Sunday? Noon? 3 in the morning? Time is irrelevant. Summer is always in the now. Now you don't have to share your poem out loud. Maybe you're going to share your poem with yourself in front of the mirror. Maybe you're going to share it with a friend or your parents. Maybe you want to bring some of your poems to our class meeting and share them there. Sharing doesn't have to be loud and in front of lots of people. Sharing just means that you're sharing your feelings in some way to express them. I can't wait to see the free verse poems that you're able to write.